Hi, welcome to the Black TV Show podcast. I'm your host, Miriam Temeskin. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're doing season 1, episode 11. You're Not a Mother Nights. This episode aired December 6th, 1984. We see that Denise and Vanessa and Theo are waiting for Rudy to go to school, and there's clothes all over the living room. It's messy. You can tell that life isn't easy right now for the parents. Rudy says she would like to go to the office with Claire, and she's like, no, I think you need to go to school. So they all leave, the kids, and then Claire goes into the kitchen to grab Rudy's lunch bag. Notice that Rudy forgot it, so she goes and runs out and runs after Rudy, and Cliff comes down and be like, what is going on with this mess? And so then he closes the door, and then Claire comes back, and she's trying to get in the door, but the door is locked. And so she comes in, and she's like, I became a mother. Like, she came back, and she's saying, she graduated from law school just to run 2.5 blocks for a child that does not want her lunch that she made by herself. The sandwich had tuna and peanut butter, and she said that it just didn't look good together. Yeah, that is just a wrong combination. I don't even like tuna or peanut butter. Like, no, that doesn't sound like a good sandwich. Claire starts talking about how, she's the issues of raising kids, and she's also complaining about work. So Cliff is like, is it the children that you're having issues? She's like, no. And she's like, is it your career? She's like, no. And she just, I can tell she's just in this funk where she's like, what has my life become? And so Cliff was like, you know what? Let's go for dinner tonight. And also let's stay the night at a hotel. And so that way you won't be a mother tonight. And that is the title of this episode. And Claire was like, you know what? Okay. So now she's more relaxed. She's better ready, suited to go to work. And she's about to be late. And so Cliff is like, you need to go to work. We go to Cliff's office, and he's with a patient. She's craving hot dogs, and she was saying how she's been a vegetarian for 7 years. And she says, the baby makes me go get this food. And she's like, and it even makes me go get an ice cream sundae. And she says that the baby hates veggies, and Cliff is like, yeah, right. The baby can't get you in a car, drive you to the burger joint. That doesn't happen. And she's only 3 months pregnant at this time. But of course, this is when you have like the cravings, so it makes sense. And so so Cliff is like, it's okay, you can eat meat, it won't hurt you. And this refers back to that episode with David James where he says, why don't you tell patients that eating meat is bad for your health with the diet? Cliff mentions here, it's healthy as long as you eat it in moderation. You can eat that kind of food. And so she says she has chocolate marshmallows in her bag, and she offers it to him, and he's like, no, I'm good. And the hotel calls his phone, so he picks up the phone, made the reservation. He basically was like, oh my god, I need a second job just to deal with this. The patient asks him, what are you celebrating? And also she asks, how long has he been married? We find out that they've been married for 21 years, and of course they have 5 children. And she asks, what are they celebrating? And he says, survival. I love that. So it's the evening, and Denise comes down in this kind of weird outfit, and she has her nails done. And she's planning to go to a dance. And Cliff comes in, and Theo's watching TV, and Cliff tells Theo, you gotta turn off that TV. And Cliff tells the kids that they're gonna be gone until the next day, and Denise has to babysit, so she has to cancel going to the dance. That is so not fair. I remember when I was in school, get this, Denise is in high school. When I was in high school, we didn't have dances, but when we were in junior high, we did. And if I knew that there was a dance ahead of time, I made sure that I would go. Of course, I am an only child, so I didn't need to deal with taking care of siblings, but still, that is so unfair. So I agree with Denise. And so then Claire comes down in this beautiful, nice, like pink and purple outfit. I would so wear that outfit. It looks so good on Claire. She Claire Huxtable has such a nice sense of style, and this dress I loved. And she comes in, and Rudy says, "Isn't she clean?" So cute. Claire says that Mrs. Davis is going to spend the night with him, which we won't ever meet. In the next episode, her name gets mentioned again. Um, I guess she just comes in at night or something. And she was going to leave the hotel number for them. And Cliff was like, wait, before you call, think. And then after you do that, think again before calling. And so the kids start asking questions to Claire, like Vanessa's like, what about my book report? Or I think it was, sorry, science report. Denise asks, are we ordering pizza? And then Rudy grabs onto Claire's leg and says, I don't want you to leave. And Cliff takes Rudy and puts her onto Vanessa's leg. And Cliff says to declare that she is not a mother tonight. So so now it's later in the evening, and Denise is on the phone with a friend that's at the dance, so she's getting all the details. Rudy asks Denise while she's on the phone, she interrupts Denise and says, "Can I watch Frankenstein?" Denise says, "Yeah, sure." And Rudy was like, "Oh, that is so easy." Vanessa asks if she can eat a piece of cake, and Denise was like, "It's up to you." And Vanessa was like, "I ate 4 cakes already." And I'm that person, because well, nowadays my body kind of stops me if I eat too much sweet, but back in the day my body wouldn't stop me. I would eat as much as I can. So if I ever had the chance to be like, can I have a treat, I would take it. So I'm like Vanessa. And Theo is trying to leave the house, and Denise was like, you where are you going? And Theo was like, I'm not telling you. And Denise was like, I'm gonna tell Dad that you've been cutting his medical books, I think, to sell it or something like that. And Theo was like, I have a whole bunch of things on you, so are you worried? And Denise was like, no. So then Theo leaves. We get to the dinner, and Cliff and Claire are eating dinner, and Cliff is eating pigeon. Who eats pigeon? I don't understand. He's trying to get Claire to eat, and she's like, that I'm not eating pigeon. It reminds me of the pigeons that are outside my office. And so Cliff asks Claire, can you give me a slice of your steak? He's trying to give away his food so that she can give her food to him. And Claire was like, well, if you wanted the steak, why didn't you just ask me? And so she gives a slice to him and starts cutting it up as if she's cutting it for the kids into small little pieces. And Cliff was like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm used to this. This is, my lifestyle. And Claire says, you know what? We are very fortunate to have the kids, or else they would never know how it feels to leave them. We now know how it feels to just leave them. And then Cliff was like, well, let's never go back and not see the kids ever. He's like, let them keep the house. And Claire was like, no, it's not gonna happen. And Claire was like, wait a minute, I realize I haven't said shut up in an hour. And Cliff was like, just tell me, say it to me. She's like, no, I can't. And he's like, I'll pretend to be one of the kids. And all of a sudden she's like, shut up. And so then we go back to the house, and this is later in the evening, and Theo comes back. And I feel like this scene is a filler for the episode. It just doesn't really seem like it's in place with the episode. I understand we're seeing him come back in, but it's just, I feel like when they were doing the script, they were like, we need a 30-second filler for the episode. So the phone rings, and it's a patient, and he's giving advice to a patient, which isn't that illegal to do? I think that is, especially since he's not a doctor. And eventually he tells the patient that he could call the other doctor that's taking over for Cliff for the night. And so he gives the number. And then we go back to the hotel, and Cliff is napping, And Claire is not happy because this was supposed to be a fun evening and he is napping. And he's like, well, waited 6 hours for you to get ready, basically. So that is why I'm napping. And says, so once she settles down, he says, let's get it on. And Claire's like, not happy. Claire says, like, she wanted him to say, you look good. He, he was like, I don't want to be told to say that you look good. And so they go to the bed, and Cliff starts kissing her arm, her hand, arm, and ear. And Claire says she wanted some more, and she like and pushes him down on the bed, and he's like, "You're rushing me, like you can't rush me." And Cliff starts saying, I just want to say that I love you. You're the most wonderful woman in my life. I care about you and all that. And all of a sudden she says, let's get it on. And he's like, wait a minute, that's my line. You can't take my line. And so they go into the bed, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and it's the kids, and they're like, they wanted to talk to mom, so, or to Claire. So the Cliff puts the phone close to her ear, and they says, good night, mom. Don't come home with another baby. I love that. That was so funny. That is the funniest thing ever. And so then now it's the next morning, and they are home. Rudy is happy that Claire is home, and someone in the kitchen broke a mug, and she's like, it's been like this all morning. And Vanessa and Theo come out and start fighting, and Cliff's like, stop fighting, like, and he also mentioned that he was like, I needed like a whole month away from the kids to be really recovered. And so he tells the kids that they have to go clean the kitchen. Claire says, one day was enough away from the kids. Like, she didn't want to be away from them longer than that, which is such a like a mother thing, a thing that a mother really does. They care for their kids. They don't want to be away from their kids. And Cliff was like, no, I need a whole month. I love that. So we end the episode there, and I think the lesson is parents need their own time away from the kids. So it makes sense for, parents going on trips, or, just spending the night at a hotel. I think that's basically, I think, the lesson of this episode. And I think the question that I have, this question is more particular to people that are parents. Did you need to take time away from your kids so you, I guess, basically recovered, to recover from, raising your kids, or you just needed time for yourself? Let me know. And you could tweet me at Black TV Shows Pod. The next episode will be episode 12, which is Rudy's Sick.